students, very good evening. So this is the DBMS technical session 2. In the previous session of DBMS, we have discussed the foundations and the overview of relational database management system. After completion of the foundations and overview, we started with relational database design using normalization. Under the normalization, we discussed first normal form. Then with the help of functional dependency, we have discussed second normal form, then third normal form. So this is the discussion what we have made in the previous class. So now we are going to start with the session with the remaining discussion on normalization. Then we just moving to the SQL portion. Okay. So regarding this normalization, I'll be just sharing the screen. I hope the screen is visible. Okay, so this is what we have stopped in the previous session, the definition of the third normal form. So any relation to be in third normal form, which should be in second normal form, and no other attribute should be found as transitive dependent on primary key. So there should not be no transitive dependency. So this is the two conditions we have to satisfy to ensure the given table or the given relation is in the third normal form. So this is the example we have discussed in the previous class for transitive dependency. So this table is suffering with transitive dependency. So we have decomposed. How we have decomposed? Employee number, project name and number of hours. This is one table. Then employee number and salary, that is another table. So every normalization is implemented with the help of the decomposition principle. So I have given one important rule for the relational database. What is the rule? The rule says you have to design a large number of smaller tables, instead of small number of larger tables. That means the table size will be as small as possible. The schema, the number of attributes will be as small as possible in your relational database. Okay. So this is what we have discussed in the previous class. So now the next normal form, just I used to say a definition of the BCNF, that is Boyce Codd. We all know who is Codd. Dr. E.F. Codd is the founder of relational database. The Boyce is actually a researcher who works with Dr. E.F. Codd. So they have combinedly developed a normal form that is called Boyce Codd normal form. So this Boyce Codd normal form is called as improved version of third normal form or enhanced version of third normal form. Okay. So when we are going to say a particular table is Boyce Codd normal form, what is the condition is? So we all know what do you mean by determinant. So you can just consider any functional dependency x tends to y. The x is actually called the determinant. The y is called dependent. According to the Boyce Codd normal form, every determinant in the functional dependency is a candidate key. But according to the second normal form and third normal form, we have discussed about the prime attribute. We have discussed about the primary key. Okay. But according to the BCNF, every determinant is a candidate key. We all know the primary key is a subset of candidate key. We have discussed. So according to the BCNF, every determinant is a candidate key. You just know what is the meaning of this Boyce Codd normal form, but be thorough with the three normal forms with some examples. Anyway, I have shared the presentation. You can just go through this and you can refresh with some of the examples even in your textbook or in your class notes of DBMS. Fine. So now the next principle is the denormalization. So denormalization is actually a reverse process of normalization. So normalization, we have given a definition. It is the process of decomposing the table into multiple tables to minimize the redundancy as well as to avoid the anomalies. Then what do you mean by denormalization? Denormalization is nothing but decomposed tables you are having. You are going to use the joins. So it's a reverse process of normalization. So whatever the table you have decomposed, you try to join it. There are multiple joins may be needed. By means of multiple joins, you try to merge the decomposed table, then you will be getting the original table or not. Okay. So denormalization is nothing but the merging or joining the decomposed table to derive the original table or to derive the major table. So this is the denormalization. In this particular denormalization process, okay, so more number of join process will make the entire system slow, because the joining process which take much time, which take much memory, okay. So the denormalization due to more join will make the entire system slow. So that, but anyway, why we are going for denormalization is in order to satisfy the customer need. In order to satisfy the customer need, we are just going for denormalization. But you have to wait for certain time for merging operation or joining operation. Okay. So this is the denormalization process just for satisfying the customer. Whether after decomposition, again you will be getting the original table by joining it or not. Whether you will be getting the original table or not. Okay. So to satisfy the customer, we are just going for the denormalization process, but definitely which is a time consuming process. Okay. So this is about the denormalization process. So this is a recap. We have already seen the schema refinement, how the schema can be designed, what are the different types of normal forms. Okay. So you can just go through this. So that's it. So this is the summary. We have seen normalization and normal forms. What are the issues with unnormalized data? Functional dependency. There are two types of functional dependency. One is the full functional dependency and another one is the partial functional dependency, then transitive dependency, and then denormalization process. So this is the summary of the relational database design with the help of the normalization process. This is actually the module number 3. So hope every one of you take this PPT as a reference. Even you can refer some online material or your class notes. Be thorough with the normalization concept. In every interview, the panel members are much interested to discuss about normalization. So be thorough on this. Fine. So this is my 4th module according to the RDBMS, Oracle SQL. So definitely maybe people who have attended some of the interviews of Haspace Systems, Kumaran Systems, or Cognizant, Gency, Next, or Elevate. Okay. Definitely around 30 to 40% of the students, you may get experience in writing the SQL queries during your panel. 30 to 40, okay, minimum. Maybe not all, even whether all students may have the experience of writing SQL queries in your interview panel. So this Oracle SQL is playing a vital role regarding the technical interview perspective. So this SQL is not only for the people who are putting DBMS as area of interest. If you belong to computer science and engineering stream, definitely they will be asking you to write a SQL query to check your SQL familiarity. Okay. So that I am just moving to the 4th module, Oracle SQL. So this will be some objectives of this particular the module. Okay, and we will see one by one. Okay, fine. So the first select statement. Okay, the first very familiar select statement. Select star from tab. So whether this is actually a user-defined keyword or a predefined keyword, tab, TAB. So maybe they may be asking you. So tab is actually a predefined keyword. What is actually tab is a table containing the details about all tables in the user area. So if you are putting select star from tab, which will display whatever the tables you created, whatever the views, the secondary objects you have created, whatever the sequence you created, everything which can be displayed. Okay. So tab is nothing but it's actually called a public synonym. You can just note it down. The tab is actually called a public synonym. SYN. Shortly I can put SYN. So tab is nothing but a public synonym. So which contains the details about all the tables in the user area. Even maybe in this class there are 20 users are there. There are 20 users. Even in your own login, everybody you can execute this command, select star from tab, which will display according to the user, what are the tables they created which will display, okay. So this is actually a tab which is the public synonym which contains the details about all tables in user area. So now this is one example they give, and assume this is one of the users login in Oracle. So maybe by this time you try to visualize your fourth semester lab up to March 17th you practice with Oracle lab in your college, but after March 17th only we have entered into the lockdown. So you just experience in your lab this screen. So you can just see select stars from tab. There are so many tables are available in this user login, like temp, department, EMP, bonus, salary, grade, etc., etc. So many tables, as well as views also can be viewed. The secondary database object view. So when you are using a tab, the tables as well as the view which can be getting displayed. So this is the output of the tab. Anyway, with the help of this presentation, you can quickly refer. And then there is another command to view the schema which is called describe. So describe means to view the logical schema, of the table. So here the table is employee. So this employee table, what is the schema? So here we can have a employee number, employee name, job, manager, hire date, etc., etc. There are so many columns, okay, there are so many columns in the table, and the data type of the columns, this column, okay. So in this particular slide, I wish to say the number which is having two specific formats. Like that, you can have the varchar2 is one data type, and then char is another data type, okay. So every one of you as a computer science and engineering student, you should know the difference. What is the number of 4? So we may able to store the number from is integer value 0 to number of 4 அப்படினா maximum 4 digit நம்ம store பண்ணலாம்பா, that is 9999. So again just bear with my handwriting because I am using some mouse is some problem. So mouse pointer நால கொஞ்சம் handwriting கொஞ்சம் legible இல்ல, anyway you just listen my words, okay. So number of 4 அப்படினு எடுத்தீங்கன்னா minimum 1 digit ல இருந்து maximum 4 digit வரைக்கும் we can store the integers. So number of 7,2 அப்படினா which is actually to deal with floating values. For example, I can consider one value 10,100.25. So this is one floating point value 10,100.25. So number of 7,2. 7 is nothing but the total number of digits in this particular floating point number, including the decimal value. So how many total number of digits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 digits. After the decimal point, how many digits? It's a 2 digit. So that we are using 7,2. So like that you can use number of 5,2, number of 4,2, etc. So this is for the floating value. So number of 4 is for integer. Number of 7,2 is for floating value, okay. So next one, the difference between varchar2 and character. There is another data type which is called the varchar. In the example, which didn't consist of this data type, varchar. So for dealing with characters, we are having 3 data types. One is the char, another one is the varchar, another one is the varchar2. So you remember the difference. You understand the difference. So character means it's a fixed length character string. What do you mean by fixed length? Suppose maybe I can have a character of 2. So for character which occupies 1 byte, so character of 2 அப்படினா 2 bytes வந்து fixed ஆயிரும்பா. 2 bytes வந்து fixed ஆயிரும். Okay. So now suppose I want to store the gender of the student or gender of the employee, okay. So then maybe this is sufficient to store only M or F, it is male or female. So M is occupying 1 byte, அதே மாதிரி female is also occupying 1 byte, but we have assigned 2 bytes. அப்ப என்ன ஆகும், remaining 1 byte is getting wasted. But 1 byte doesn't matter, okay. But in the same time, for the student name, I am just assigning a data type character of 20. Okay. Suppose a student name is Arun. Okay. So this Arun which need only 4 bytes. The Arun which needs only 4 bytes. But what happens? The remaining 16 bytes will be unused. The remaining 16 bytes for the name Arun is unused. Okay. So this is the drawback of the fixed length character string. But you can consider varchar, which is a variable length character. So we know the difference between fixed length and variable length. So variable length means according to the name of the employee or name of the student, the bytes will be allocated. Suppose I will be giving varchar 2 of 30 or varchar of 30. I am using varchar of 30. Arun means how much byte it will occupy? Only 4 bytes. Suppose for example the names like Arun Kumar, the name like Arun Kumar, okay. So which occupies 9 bytes, okay. So depending on the name, the memory will be allocated in a variable fashion. That is called varchar. So the char is fixed length character, varchar is variable length character. But what's the difference between varchar and varchar 2? So varchar and varchar 2 is nothing but in terms of memory. So varchar pathina in the initial stage, which occupies 2000 bytes. Up to 2000 bytes you can occupy that, you can store the characters. But varchar 2 2000 into 2. This is actually the varchar 2. 2000 into 2. So which will occupy 4000 bytes. Okay. So maximum, I am telling about maximum. So in the maximum varchar, I can able to store 2000 bytes. But in varchar 2, I can able to store 4000 bytes. So this is called the different types of character data type in SQL: char, varchar and varchar 2. The next one is the date. Okay, the next one is the date. So normally in SQL, how the date is stored is, because when you are using Excel, there may be some problem. Even you are also facing some issue. The date of birth, the day and month is getting varied. Okay, but in SQL, how the date format is stored is dd-mon-yyyy. Suppose you just consider today's date. What is today's date? Is it 12? Okay. So how it can be stored is 12. The month is the first 3 characters, September, and the year is a 4-digit number, and which is 2021. So like this, the date will be stored. The date is a special data type in SQL. We can able to store the date value. Fine. So with the help of this overview of the data types, in most of the interviews, they will be asking the different types of select statement. Okay. So what do you mean by select statement? Which is coming under the category of data manipulation language. Am I right? Or which is coming under data definition language. Select coming under data manipulation language or data definition language. I need the answer. Any volunteers randomly you can explain.
Data manipulation language, sir.
Data manipulation language. Okay. So by means of the select statement, we can retrieve the stored data from the tables, or we can query the stored data from the tables. Suppose you just consider select star from EMP. We all know star means which represent all the columns in the table. So which will retrieve all the columns with all the records in this particular command. Select star from EMP. So EMP is the table name. So this is the output. You can able to just go through this after the session. These are all the just explanation. I can skip this. Okay, fine. And instead of star, we can able to select only the needed columns. Like for example, employee number, employee name, department number, salary, etc., etc. So only the specified columns from the given table can be specified in the select statement. So separation of the columns by using comma. So select EMP number, comma, E name, comma, D number, comma, salary, like that. You can put from table name EMP, from table name EMP. This is the another way of select statement. And when we are going to use the select statement, if you want to retrieve only the unique values, or non-duplicate rows, you may use the keyword called distinct. So select distinct job from EMP. So why I'm using this distinct is, suppose assume a very simple case. In my table, only 10 employees are there. Out of these 10 employees, 5 employees are accountants, for example. 5 employees are accountant. அப்பனா 5 employees க்கு என்னப்பா வேல்யூ இருக்கும்? எம்ப்ளாயி ஜாப் எப்படி இருக்கும்? அக்கவுண்டன்ட் தான் இருக்கும். 5 employeesக்கும் அக்கவுண்டன்ட் தான் இருக்கும். Another 5 employees, they are salesperson. Another 5 employees, they are all salesperson. Okay. So 5 record assume பண்ணிக்கங்க. So now I will be giving a query. You tell me the output. Select job from EMP. In the distinct keyword மறந்துருங்கப்பா. You forget this distinct keyword. I am asking a query. Select job from EMP. How many rows you will be getting? Any guess in the output? How many rows you will be getting? So maximum table la வந்து 10 records இருக்கு. Table la 10 employees ஓட records இருக்கு. I am giving select job from EMP. How many records you will be getting as output? So the output consists of 10 rows. The output consists of 10 rows, like 5 times accountants and 5 times sales. So which is actually consists of duplicates. But if you are using the distinct, which will display only the non-duplicate rows. So what happens? Which can display only the 2 records as the output. One is the accountant and another one is the sales. So when you are going to display the output using the distinct, the output may be sorted in the ascending order of the selected column. Ascending order display ஆகும். So this is one of the condition. In interview panel, somebody they will ask you, when you are using distinct class, whether records are displayed in ascending order or descending order. You have to explain, because the output of this distinct would be sorted in the ascending order. So this is about not only non-duplicate rows, how it can be selected. Fine. And then we may use the expressions, some arithmetic expressions like this. Okay, you can see this example. Even I can use the employee number is one column, salary is another column. Then I can use some arithmetic expression. For example, salary plus 100 or salary plus 100 divided by 10. Like that, any arithmetic expression can be written in your SQL expression. And another important thing, what is normally a null value in relational database? Did you study the CART rule? Yesterday, if you studied CART rule, now you are in the position to tell me the definition of null values. Where we can use the null values, any one of you who have studied CART rule. So null is actually which can be used for missing values, or the null values can be used for inapplicable values. So inapplicable values or missing values, we can use the null values. Missing, inapplicable. So how you can compare with the null value is, you cannot compare the null value like equal to null. இப்போ நம்ம equal to 10 ல compare பண்ணுவோம். அதே மாதிரி வந்துட்டு you cannot compare with equal to null. Equal to null is actually wrong. So how we can compare it? So you can use the operator called is null. You can use the operation called is null. Suppose you just consider select customer name. Select customer name from online shopping. Select customer name from online shopping where salary is null. Salary யாராருக்கெல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்கோ அவங்களோட customer name மட்டும் எனக்கு வேணும் அப்படின்னா, most of the customers are students, because students are not earning something, their salary is null. Okay, so this is one of the example. Select customer name from online shopping where salary is null. So this is actually the usage of is null operator. You remember one thing, null value cannot be compared with equal to. Null value cannot be compared with equal to. You have to use the is null operator. And this is the next one is the column alias. We all know alias. Alias is nothing but some other name. So somebody, they having some name. For example, like Anita alias Sujita. Anita alias Sujita. What is the meaning? Anita alias Sujita. What is the meaning of this alias? A person who is having 2 names, like Anita alias Sujita. Anita is also her name, Sujita is also her name. Okay. So like this, for the column alias, we can use the keyword called as. For example, you just consider employee number and salary is the two columns, and I am multiplying the salary by 12. I am multiplying the salary by 12 as annual salary as. So the as keyword is optional. If you want to use the keyword as, you can use. If any error will come in your SQL window, you just remove that as. Okay. So as annual underscore salary is the column alias. Annual underscore salary is the column alias. So column alias you can use for giving the different names. Okay. So here the as keyword is optional. As I have already told, you can just see this point. As keyword is optional. As keyword is optional. This is the column alias. So with this intro, maybe we can have the construction of table. So for the construction, we are using the create command. So how you can say select is coming under the data manipulation language, like that the create is coming under data definition language. Create which is coming under data definition language. So you can have the different data types. So you can use char, varchar, date, number. Even if you want to have some time limit, timestamp, you can use. These are all the data types. So create syntax, you all know, but no panel members are asking the create command in interview, so you don't worry about it. But anyway, you refer the syntax. Okay. So once you create the table, you don't want the table in feature. So what you will do is you will drop the table. You never want the table along with records and schema. Record means the row, tuple. Schema is column or attribute. You don't want the records, you don't want the columns. You can simply drop it. Okay. So DDL, that is data definition language. So once you drop the table, all the data attributes, everything will be lost. The constraints will be dropped. Whatever the index on the table, everything will be dropped. Okay. So be careful before you are going to drop it. And another important one, mostly in all the interviews, they will be asking, what is constraint? If the panel member is interested in DBMS, definitely they will be asking, what is the constraint? So constraint is nothing but a restriction to be obeyed by the data when rows are manipulated in the table. So for each and every row, we are putting some restrictions. Why we are putting some restriction is to ensure the validity or the meaningfulness of data. Some restrictions to be obeyed by the data. So that restrictions are called constraints. Okay. So types of constraints: primary key, unique key, foreign key, and domain integrity constraints. This is the practical purpose. So you can just consider primary key, which is the combination of not null constraint and unique constraint. Not null and unique. The combination is called the primary key. So simply, if interviewer is asking what is the primary key, so simply you can say the primary key is the combination of unique plus not null. That means when you are going to design one table, one attribute of a table is a primary key, that attribute will not accept the duplicate values because which is unique. It cannot accept the duplicate values. Also, which did not accept the null values. Null is missing or inapplicable. Once one attribute is primary key attribute, you cannot enter the null value, you cannot enter the duplicate value. That is the primary key. So the next one is the unique. The unique key only the non-duplicate, but which may accept the null value. So this is the difference between primary key and unique key. So primary key, there are two purposes. One is which is not allowing the duplicates, which is not allowing the null, but unique key which is allowing the null value but not allowing the duplicate value. The next one is the foreign key constraint. So we have already given some example in the previous class. To maintain a relationship between the two tables, we may use the primary key and foreign key for the referential integrity purpose. So that is the primary and the secondary or master and slave we have seen in the last class. So we just refresh the concepts. Okay, foreign key. So to protect the referential integrity across the tables. And next one is the domain integrity constraints. So domain means we all know a set of possible values for the particular column. Okay. So in that particular domain, you are giving some restriction. What's the restriction we can give? Suppose you consider, can you get any of the restriction on registered number of the PSNA student? Can you give me one restriction, pa? Register number of the student is one domain. PSNA student. PSNA student oda register number la ஒரு domain இருக்கு. இந்த register number la என்னப்பா நம்ம restrictions வைக்கலாம்? What restrictions we can provide? Any guess? So register number of all PSNA students should start with 9213. So like this we can enforce some restrictions on the domain. So this is register number domain. Like that you can just consider the age. So student oda age எடுத்துக்கங்கப்பா. இதுக்கு என்னப்பா restriction வைக்கலாம்? PSNA student oda age என்ன restriction வைக்கலாம்? So maybe I can put greater than or equal to 18, greater than or equal to 18, less than or equal to 25 years வச்சுக்கலாம். Diploma holders வருவாங்க. So 25 years வச்சுக்கலாம். Like this you can use some constraint. Okay. So this is called the domain integrity constraints. So some examples we are giving here. Syntax, you can see the syntax. Okay. Okay, fine. So now you can see this. There's a table called the customer accounts. There's a table called the customer accounts. In this customer accounts table, I'm adding some columns. Okay. So first of all, you just remember the different categories of commands. I will just maybe I can use this blank space. I can use this blank space. Yes. So can you tell me the DDL commands? What are the DDL commands? So I can just say, you can just note it down. Create, alter, truncate, drop. Create the table, alter the table, truncate the table, and drop the table. Okay. First, let us consider DDL. In DDL, we have already seen create, alter. So in alter, there are some options. One is the adding the new column, modifying the existing column, modify the existing column, and drop the existing column, and then rename the existing column. So this is the 4 options in alter: add, modify, drop, and rename. So like this, you can have truncate. So truncate is actually some difference by comparing with a drop. Drop means we have already discussed, which will drop all the records, constraints, everything can be dropped. But truncate means only the records can be deleted, but the schema, the constraints, everything will be available. Okay. So truncate, drop, what the difference is? Truncate, which will delete only the records, the schema will be available, but drop, which will delete, which will drop the entire table, schema, records, everything will be dropped. Okay. So this is DDL. Then you can consider DML. What are the commands in DML? So insert. You can insert the records. You can select the records. You can update. You can delete. So this is the DML command. Data manipulation language. And what is TCL? Transaction control language. If you want to control the transaction, I can use the command called commit, rollback, and the save point. Commit, rollback, and save point. So commit, if you are doing some transactions, some updations, some manipulations, if you want to save the changes permanently into the database, you can give commit. Commit means permanently changes will be saved into the secondary storage. Commit. Rollback is nothing but undo. Before you are going to give a commit operation, if you don't want that operation, you can use the rollback. But once you committed, you cannot able to roll back. Okay. So rollback is undo. And save point, this is nothing but some bookmark. The lengthier transaction can be splitted into some bookmarks, some sub-transactions. So that's what we are creating a save point. And then the 4th category is, what is BCL? What is BCL? It's a data control language. Data control language. So here I can have the commands grant and revoke. You can grant the table to some other user with some permission. After doing some task, the permission can be revoked. So granting the permission and revoking the permission is possible by means of the data control language. So this is about the 4 categories. Be clear on these 4 categories of SQL commands. So now coming back to the slide. So here we can have the add. So in alter table customer accounts, I am adding some 2 columns. One is the CA referee account number and CA referee account type. Now the table will be altered. Already some 8 columns in this now. After adding, the 2 columns will be added. So totally we will be getting 10 columns. Okay. So fine. So now this is the syntax for adding the constraint. First we can see add, then we can see drop. So you can see alter table customer accounts. You can note down this particular syntax. Okay. Alter table accounts, alter table customer accounts, add is a keyword, add constraint is a keyword, and some constraint name, and the constraint type is check. The check is actually one of the domain constraints. So check the status in active, blocked, legal. இதுல தான் இருக்கணும்பா. இப்போ உங்களோட exam result பாத்தீங்கன்னு வெச்சுக்கங்களேன், உங்களோட exam result வந்து either in how many grades are possible. So maybe you can have some A plus, A, B, B plus, U, UA. அதுக்குள்ள மட்டும் தான் இருக்கணும். X னு ஒரு grade வர முடியுமா examல? It's not possible. Okay. So for that we are imposing some domain constraint. So this is the syntax for adding the constraint by using the add keyword. If you don't want that constraint, you can use the drop. Okay. So drop alter table name, drop constraint name. So this is the syntax of the first one. Alter table name, drop constraint name. If you don't want that, you can simply drop it. Okay. Like that, some modify is given. Okay. You can just go through. Like that, there are some rename option is given. Syntax you should be familiar. Or 1 hour spend பண்ணுங்க SQL syntax for evening time or night time la. You can reference the syntax. Any doubts you can ask me. Okay. And some restrictions on altering table. You are having a table. Non-empty table. What do you mean by non-empty table? The table is with some data. So in that particular table, column width cannot be reduced. Remember, in a non-empty table, column width cannot be reduced. Okay, fine. And then when a new constraint is added to an existing table, constraints will be validated on all existing rows. If for existing table you have a constraint kudukreenga, already whatever the rows are available, for all rows the constraint will be validated. This is the second restriction. And third one, dropping of constraint, having dependent constraint. For example, you are having a primary key and foreign key. The foreign key is depending on primary key. So you cannot delete that primary key column. Okay. First you have to drop the foreign key column, then only you have to drop the primary key column. Okay. So like that you can have some restrictions on altering a table, and there are options for enabling or disabling constraint. Sometimes you don't want a constraint, you can disable it. After some time you want to enable it, you can enable it. For example, alter table customer accounts, disable constraints FK_CUST, that's constraint name. So we can disable it, but after some time you can enable it by means of enable constraint name. So you can go through it. So this is about the first portion of your SQL. In the interview perspective, they are asking up to the constraints. Okay, up to the constraints. So now the next module is scoping and ordering of rows. How the rows can be ordered. Okay, how the rows can be ordered. So now you can just consider some relational expression. Normally you can consider the relational expression which evaluates the answer true or false. Suppose I am giving the first expression, marks greater than 80. Suppose one student mark is 90. Whether it's true or false? It's true. Mark is 60, it is false. Like that, any relational expression evaluates the answer as true or false. Okay. So various relational operators, you remember already, greater than, less than, not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Apart from this, you should be familiar with this in operator, between operator, and this is the two special relational operators. இப்போ department number in 10,30 அப்படின்னு கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. So what's the difference between this in and equal to is, the in operator can be used to compare equal to நீங்க கொடுத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா, equal to நீங்க கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா I can compare with the only department number equal to 10. But இதே இது in operator நான் யூஸ் பண்ணா, I can use department number in 10, 30, 40. That means the employees who are working in department number 10, 30, 40, everything is getting displayed. That is called in operator. Okay, the list operator. By used to compare with list of values. And this is between operator with lower range and higher range. Between 1000 and 2000. So 1000 will be included, 2000 will be included. In between the values it's coming. So 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004 up to 2000. This is called between operator. So remember the in operator and between operator. And there are another relational operator which is called like operator. This is very important thing. Suppose here I will be just having a pattern. So percentage use panning அப்படினா 0 or many characters. For example, I can write one pattern. Where the pointer is coming. Okay, here I write a percentage அப்படினு நான் கொடுத்தா, starting with A, what are the names are available? Every name will be displayed. Arun Kumar, Akash Perumal, Adi Abhishek, Aravind, okay, Archana, every name will be coming starting with A. Okay, like that I will be just giving a percentage A. Percentage A means ending with A. For example, Archana will come, but Aravind will not come. Aruna will come. Okay, so percentage is nothing but 0 or many characters. A percentage na starting with A followed by 0 or many characters. Percentage A na ending with A, before that there are many characters, 0 or many characters. Like that I can use the underscore. For example, I can use like this A underscore n. What is the meaning is this pattern? What is the pattern meaning is, starting with A, ending with n, but in between that only 2 characters. So underscore means only one character. Okay, so starting with A, ending with n, so only 4 characters maximum only 4 characters தான் இருக்கணும். அப்ப எந்த நேம் மட்டும் வரும்? அருணா வருமா? அருணா which will be displayed, or Archana which will be displayed? No, it's not displayed. Only Arun will be displayed. Okay, because A ending with n, between la வந்து ரெண்டு character இருக்கு. என்னென்ன character இருக்கு? The first underscore la பாத்தீங்கன்னா R இருக்கும், second underscore la U இருக்கும். So Arun, this is the pattern. Like this you can able to write so many patterns, you can practice. Next one is the is null operator. We have already discussed, which is the special operator for checking null values. And we can have the logical operators. I don't want to explain, you are all much familiar. Logical not, logical and logical or. Okay, so this is some of the examples. You just go through the slide. Between operator and logical and means both the conditions should be satisfied. Logical or means any one of the condition will be satisfied, and not means the condition is not at all satisfied. Okay, you can just not salary between 1000 and 3000. இப்போ இந்த salary பாருங்களேன், between 1000 and 3000 இருக்கிற salaryல எனக்கு டிஸ்ப்ளே ஆகக்கூடாது அப்படின்னா I can use not salary. Okay, so this is the not salary. This is in operator which is used to compare with the list of values. This is null. Every slide you can just view it. And the A percentage, A percentage means only Arjun, Arun, Akbar which will be displayed. So this is about the evaluation of operators. First, arithmetic and string manipulation operators. and then all relational operators like in, between, etc. And not operator will last, not operator will be applied in next, then adukapra logical and, adukapra logical or. This is actually called operator precedence level. Okay, how the order of evaluation operators can be done in your SQL expression. And shorting, this is very important thing. Again, the interviewers are asking how to short the result. So I can use the order by class. I can use the order by class. So order by employee number. That means employee number, based on the employee number, which will arrange the records in the ascending order. For example, employee number 100, 110, 101 இருக்கு அப்படினா, suppose I'm having 3 employee numbers. As for simplicity, 100, 110 and then 101. So what is the ascending order? 100, 101 and 110. This is the ascending order. Like that I can use the descending order. Okay, for descending order I can use the keyword called DESC. So which will output is descending la போட்டீங்க அப்படினா 110, 101 and 100. Okay, so you can just go through these examples also. So this is about the arrangements of records in shorting, that is ascending order as well as the descending order. Okay, so then the next module I can just quickly go through the DML statements. So DML statements, we are mainly focusing on insert, update and delete. So insert, update, delete வந்து பெரும்பாலும் இன்டர்வியூல கேக்குறது இல்ல, but anyway you can just go through the syntax, how we can insert into records, insert into table. So insert into table name, the column names and data type, column names and other values. Okay, like that I can give the insert statement. You can go through the syntax. And between the insert, the select statement can be used within the insert statement. It's actually a concept of subquery. You can see this, insert into bonus. Bonus is one, you can see this third box. The third box can go through panunga. Insert into bonus. Bonus I want to insert into 4 columns: employee number, department number, income and commission. Okay, there are 4 columns. So these values of these 4 columns can be fetched from employee table. So I can use the select statement. Select EMP number, DEPT number. For income, salary into 12, that is annual salary, adukapra commission from employee. So within the insert statement, I can use the select statement. So this is called the concept of subquery. So then if you want to update some values, you can use the update statement. Any updations pananum appadina, you can use the update statement. And if you want to delete the record, you can delete it. Okay, so truncate also we have seen. Truncate is data definition language, but once you use the truncate, all rows, so 1000 rows irundha 1000 rows may delete aayidum, 1 lakh row irundha 1 lakh may delete aayidum. But when you are using the delete statement, by providing some bare condition, you can delete whatever the row you want, not all the records. It's not compulsory always to delete all the records. So whatever the record you want, you can delete it. Okay, so this is called insert, delete and update. And the next one is the group aggregate functions. That is called the group function, group by, having class and the join. So far, any clarifications? Because this portion is very important. The group functions, group by, having class and joins. Okay, so now I can have 2 tables. One is the employee. The attributes are employee number, employee name, salary and the D number, salary and D number. The another table is department. Another table is department. So here I can have department number, department name and the HOD. So this is the 2 tables. Okay, now I want to simply say, உங்களுக்கு ஜாயின் பத்தி இன்டர்வியூல கேட்டாங்கன்னா இந்த மாதிரி ஏதோ ஒரு 2 டேபிள் எடுத்துக்கணும். In which domain you are familiar. Okay, அந்த 2 டேபிள்ல வந்துட்டு you try to demonstrate the join operation. Okay, so you can consider this particular 2 tables. Now I can write a select statement. Okay, I can write a select statement. So the question is, maybe I want to display I want to display employee name along with their salary and HOD name. Now you can see there is a two table. One is the employee. There are 4 columns: employee number, employee name, salary, department number. And another table, department department number, department name and HOD. So now the given question is, I have to display employee name along with the salary and the HOD name. So employee name and salary available in the employee table, so it's very easy to retrieve. But HOD name is available in the second table, so I have to use the join. Okay. So now how I am going to write the join is, you can see my statement. Select employee name, or otherwise I can use the emp dot employee name, emp dot salary. That is, emp is the table name. So table name dot column name, table name dot another column name. Now department dot HOD, department name HOD from emp comma dept, where the common attribute is emp. When the table common attribute is where emp dot dno is equal to dept dot dno. So this is actually a natural join, or it may be called as inner join query. Inner join. இப்படிதான் நீங்க ரெண்டு டேபிளை கம்பைன் பண்ணி you can fetch the records. The specialty of this query is I didn't use any keyword. Join the keyword and I use பண்ணல. Join the keyword இல்லாமையே we can demonstrate the join operation. So you can take the screenshot of this particular query. Already நீங்க லேப்ல பண்ணிருப்பீங்க. But anyway, it's a quick recap தான். So emp dot employee name, emp dot salary, department dot HOD from emp comma dept, where emp dot dno equal to dept dot dno. இதுதான் என்னோட first queryக்கான output. I need to saying a second ஒரு example தரேன். Display employee name along with salary and HOD, or நம்ம கொஞ்சம் query மாத்தலாம். I want to display employee name who are working in CSE department. எனக்கு CSE departmentல work பண்ற employee name மட்டும் வேணும். How I can write the query? இப்ப ஜாயின் வந்து ரொம்ப சிம்பிளான கான்செப்ட் தான். நீங்க நினைக்கிற மாதிரி ரொம்ப கஷ்டம்லாம் கிடையாது. பட் ஆனா கொடுத்த ப்ராப்ளத்துக்கு நீங்க ஆன்சர் எழுதணும். அதாவது இப்ப நீங்க எம்ப்ளாயி நேம் மட்டும் எடுக்க போறீங்க. சோ ரொம்ப சிம்பிள் தான். கண்டிஷன் மட்டும் யூ ஆர் கரெக்ட். கண்டிஷன்ல வந்து we have to add one more condition where classல dname equal to CSE, அவ்வளவுதான். இப்போ நான் query எப்படி எழுதுவேன்? select emp dot ename from emp dept, emp dept, where இந்த கண்டிஷன் அப்படியே தான் எனக்கு வரும். இந்த கண்டிஷன் எனக்கு அப்படியே தான் வரும். இந்த இடத்துல வந்துட்டு I can add one more condition and dept dot dname is equal to CSE. அவ்வளவுதான்ப்பா. So this is another kind of join. கண்டிஷன் மட்டும் தான்ப்பா மாறும். ஜாயின்ங்கிறது என்னப்பா நார்மலா இது இப்ப நம்ம பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கிறது வந்து ஒன்லி வந்து இன்னர் ஜாயின். இன்னர் ஜாயின் அப்படின்னா which will combine more than, அதாவது நார்மலா ஒரு ஜாயின் வந்து ரெண்டு டேபிள் தான் நடக்கும். Simply I can say table A join table B. So ரெண்டு டேபிள்ல ஒரு டைம்ல ஜாயின் நடக்கும். இப்போ இதே இது நான் 3 tables ஜாயின் பண்ணணும்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். இப்போ 3 tables ஜாயின் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா எப்படிப்பா ஜாயின் நடக்கும்? இப்போ 3 tables நான் ஜாயின் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப் என்ன நடக்கும் அப்படின்னா A join B நடக்கும். A join B, அந்த ரிசல்ட் வரும் இல்லையா? அந்த ரிசல்ட் வந்துட்டு I can join with C. So at a time la a join operation which accepts only 2 tables, which is a binary operation. Okay, are you clear? This is why இது வந்து only inner join தான்ப்பா. இது first type of join, inner join. Okay, third one I can give the answer. Display employee name, display employee name working under Mr. John, working under Mr. John, and also their salary is greater than 50,000. This is another variety of query. Display employee name working under Mr. John and also the salary is greater than 50,000. நீங்க இந்த மாதிரி கொரி நீங்க பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணாலே போதும் இன்டர்வியூக்கு ஜாயின்ல. பட் இந்த மாதிரி டிஃபரெண்ட் வெரைட்டி கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா நீங்க அந்த இன்ஸ்டன்ட்ல யோசிச்சு நீங்க எழுதணும், அவ்வளவுதான். உங்களை வந்து அவுட்டர் ஜாயின், செல்ஃப் ஜாயின் அதெல்லாம் பெருசா கேட்க மாட்டாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி இந்த டேபிள கம்பைன் பண்ணி நீங்க ரிசல்ட் எடுத்து வரீங்களா அப்படிதான் செக் பண்ணுவாங்க.
A join B join C க்கு ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றீங்களா சார்?
எதுக்குப்பா?
அந்த A join B join C அந்த ரிசல்ட் வச்சு C ஜாயின் பண்ற ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றீங்களா சார்?
ஓ இதுக்கா? ஓகே ஜஸ்ட் a minute I will say. நான் வந்துட்டு ஒரு சிம்பிளா ஒரு டேபிள் எடுத்துக்கிறேன்ப்பா. இப்போ ஏங்கிற டேபிள்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா இப்போ ஏங்கிற டேபிள்ல வந்துட்டு மேபி ஐ கேன் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ட் இப்போ எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னா ஒரு சாம்பிள் ரெக்கார்டு எடுத்துக்கலாம். சாம்பிள் ரெக்கார்டு வந்து 100, ஏங்கிற டேபிள் வந்து 100 அருண், பிங்கிற டேபிள்ல வந்துட்டு 101 பாலா இருக்கு. 101 பாலா. ஓகே. ஸோ இப்போ வந்துட்டு பிங்கிற டேபிள்ல பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பிங்கிற டேபிள்ல வந்துட்டு 100 என்ன மாதிரியான எக்ஸாம்பிள் எடுத்துக்கலாம். ஸோ ஓகே ஐ வில் டெல். ஓகே இப்போ 100 அவங்களோட சேலரி இருக்கு 10,000. 101 இவருக்கு சேலரி வந்து 30,000 இருக்கு. இப்போ வந்துட்டு சிங்கிற டேபிள்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா சிங்கிற டேபிள்ல 100 அவங்களோட ஹெச்ஓடி நேம் இருக்கு ஜான் இருக்கு. 101 இவங்களோட ஹெச்ஓடி வந்து ஜேம்ஸ். இப்போ டேபிள் ஸ்கீமா புரியுதாப்பா? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டேபிள்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா எம்ப்ளாயி நம்பர் அவங்களோட நேம் இருக்கு. செகண்ட் டேபிள்ல எம்ப்ளாயி நேம் அவங்களோட சேலரி இருக்கு. அது எம்ப்ளாயி நம்பர் அவங்களோட சேலரி இருக்கு. தேர்ட் டேபிள்ல எம்ப்ளாயி நம்பர் அவங்களோட ஹெச்ஓடி நேம் இருக்கு. இப்போ நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஏ, இப்போ என்னோட அப்ஜெக்டிவ் என்னன்னா ஏ ஜாயின் பி ஜாயின் சி இதை பண்ணோம்னா எனக்கு என்ன அவுட்புட் வரும்னா 100 அருண், 10,000 ஜான், 101 பாலா, 30,000 ஜேம்ஸ். அதாவது அவங்களோட எல்லா ரெக்கார்டையும் நான் ஒரே டிஸ்பிளே பண்ணணும். சரிங்களா? இப்போ இந்த மாதிரி நான் பண்ணேன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து ஏக்கும் பிக்கும் இடையில ஜாயின் நடக்கும்பா. அப்ப ஏக்கும் பி இடையில ஜாயின் நடந்தா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப் நீங்க கேட்கறதுக்காக இந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஏ ஜாயின் பி. ஏ ஜாயின் பி நடந்தா எனக்கு அவுட்புட் எப்படி வரும் அப்படின்னா 100 அருண், 10,000, 101 பாலா, 30,000. இதான் வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப் ஏ ஜாயின் பி. இப்போ அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த ரிசல்ட் வந்திருக்கு இல்லையா, இந்த ரிசல்ட்டை வந்து ஐ கேன் ஜாயின் வித் சி. அப்போ எனக்கு என்ன அவுட்புட் வரும்? இதான்ப்பா ஒரு இதே மாதிரி நீங்க எத்தனை டேபிள் வேணாலும் ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டே போலாம்ப்பா. ஆனா அட் அ டைம்ல 2 டேபிள் கடையில ஜாயின் நடக்கும். சரியா?
ஓகே சார்.
ஓகே. எனி அதர் டவுட்? இப்போ இந்த ஸ்லைடு உங்களுக்கு என்னென்ன இருக்குன்னு சொல்லிடுறேன். இதுல வந்து குரூப் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்கு, குரூப் பை இருக்கு, ஹேவிங் இருக்கு. இதெல்லாம் நீங்க பார்த்தாலே உங்களுக்கு புரிஞ்சிடும். அக்ரிகேட் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் தான். சரிங்களா? லைக் ஆவரேஜ், கவுண்ட், மேக்ஸ், மின், சம் இதெல்லாம் எப்படி யூஸ் பண்றதுன்னு. அதே மாதிரி குரூப் பை எங்க யூஸ் பண்றதுன்னு பாத்துக்கோங்க. குரூப் பை ஒரு 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 கேட்டகரி வச்சு நீங்க குரூப் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா யூ கேன் யூஸ் த குரூப் பை. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் ஒன் ஆஃப் த குரூப் பை கிளாஸ். ஜாப் வச்சு குரூப் பை பண்றாங்க. அதாவது அக்கௌண்டன்ட்ல எவ்வளவு எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் இருக்காங்க, சேல்ஸ் பர்சன்ல எவ்வளவு எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் இருக்காங்க, அந்த மாதிரி குரூப் பை கிளாஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். இதை கொஞ்சம் ரெஃபர் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. அதுக்கு எல்லாமே எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் இருக்கு. அதே மாதிரி குரூப் பைக்கு அப்புறம் கண்டிஷன் வேணும் அப்படின்னா ஹேவிங். ஸோ குரூப் பைக்கு அப்புறம் கண்டிஷன் கிளாஸ் வந்து ஹேவிங் வச்சு தான் செக் பண்ண முடியும், வேற வச்சு செக் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ அதுக்கு தான் வந்து இந்த ஹேவிங் கிளாஸ். இதுக்கு எல்லாமே தெளிவா எக்ஸ்பிளனேஷனோட இருக்கு. கொஞ்சம் கோ த்ரூ பண்ணுங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஜாயின் பா. இப்போ 2 டேபிள், ரொம்ப சிம்பிளான டேபிள் சொல்றேன். 1 2 3 4 இது ஒரு டேபிள். அனதர் டேபிள் வந்து 5 6 or otherwise maybe you can just consider 1637. 1637. இதுக்கு இப்போ கார்ட்டீசியன் ப்ராடக்ட் பண்ணப்பா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இந்த ரெக்கார்டை நீங்க எடுத்துப்பீங்க 1 2 எடுத்துப்பீங்க 1 2 எடுத்துட்டு நான் அதர் ரெண்டு ரெக்கார்டோட நான் கம்பைன் பண்ணுவேன் எப்படின்னா 1 2 1 6 1 2 3 7 இது வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரெக்கார்டு அடுத்த ரெக்கார்டு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 3 4 எடுத்துப்பேன் 3 4 1 6 3 4 3 7 இப்போ நீங்க அந்த ஈக்குவல் டு போட்டீங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன் ஈக்குவல் டு போட்டீங்கன்னா என்ன ஆகும்னா இந்த ரெண்டு வேல்யூ எங்கெங்க ஈக்குவலா இருக்கோ அந்த ரெக்கார்டு மட்டும் தான் டிஸ்ப்ளே ஆகும் அப்படின்னா எனக்கு எந்தெந்த ரெக்கார்டு வரும்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரெக்கார்டும் ஃபோர்த் ரெக்கார்டு மட்டும் தான் வரும் அதனால தான் எனக்கு இதுதான் வந்து கார்ட்டீசியன் ப்ராடக்ட் கார்ட்டீசியன் ப்ராடக்ட் எப்படின்னா ஒரு டேபிள்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டேபிள்ல 10 ரோ இருக்கு செகண்ட் டேபிள்ல 10 ரோ இருக்கு இது ரெண்டையும் நீங்க கார்ட்டீசியன் ப்ராடக்ட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா 10 to 10 உங்களுக்கு 100 ரெக்கார்ட்ஸ் வரும் பட் நம்ம 100 ரெக்கார்ட்ஸ் நமக்கு தேவை இருக்காது அன்னெசரியா நிறைய ரெக்கார்ட் இருக்கும் அதனால தான் இந்த ஈக்குவல் டு கண்டிஷன் போடுறீங்க சரியா ஓகே ஸோ யூ கேன் ஜஸ்ட் கோ த்ரூ த ஸ்லைட் இந்த ஸ்லைட்ஸை கொஞ்சம் கோ த்ரூ பண்ணி பாருங்க உங்களுக்கு கண்டிப்பா புரியும் எனிவே ஐ வில் ட்ரை டு present a session I will upload that video in our the official YouTube channel so technical session 1 and technical session 2 and some of the missing topics every video can be uploaded in the YouTube channel you can watch that YouTube video later whenever you will be having the doubts okay so all the very best prepare well okay for all the interviews so thank you so we will meet in the doubt clarification session okay thank you